Hey Ashley.
Hey, Kaycee.
This is Nostalgic Nightcaps,
Yeah,
our podcast. In case you
it's
were
our
wondering,
podcast. Welcome.
what is it? Why are we here? What are we doing with our lives?
Well, with our lives, that's questionable. But on this podcast, we talk about pop culture, just like movies and books and music and things that we love from the past. And we pair it with a themed drink every week.
Sure as hell do. Mine was uh, it was a doozy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was some work. It was some work.
is that why you've been at the stove all day?
I have been at the stove with my damn wooden spoon,
Oh no.
my apron.
Tell me about it. What is it?
Well,
Well,
first of all,
yeah. What are we talking about first?
wait. Let me tell you what this episode is all about.
Okay, please.
So today we are discussing a book. Yay.
Yes.
Sweet Valley High, number 62, Who's Who. It was published in 1990 and
Oh,
created by Francine Pascal.
it's a doozy.
It's okay, this is actually one of my favorites, and
It
there's
was
a
good.
reason I chose this.
Yeah, it goes well with our. We did Parent Trap last time.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, what's the best twin switch Sweet Valley High book? And I was thinking and thinking, and then I was like, oh,
Duh.
obviously. Can I just tell you a little bit about this book, what it's
Yeah, of
about, before
course.
I tell you the reason for my haggardness right now?
Yes.
Like the slightest inconvenience, I'm just like
Falling
melting into a
apart.
puddle. Yes. Okay, so in this book, Jessica Wakefield. Okay, well, first of all, Jessica and Elizabeth Wakefield are identical twin sisters. They're 16 years old. They live in Sweet Valley, California.
Can I have a little background?
They're perfect size six. They're beautiful Aryan nightmares.
Yep.
Jessica, the evil twin, she is like, I am so bored with the boys at Sweet Valley. Like, I'm just dating the same guys. This is awful. Elizabeth is like, are you slut? She all but calls her sister a
Like, I'm
slut.
just gonna stay with Todd, the most boring guy ever.
Oh, except when he's punching people.
Yeah.
Then he's boring and violent.
Yes.
They're at the mall and Jessica sees a dating service for teenagers, which let's
Yeah.
let's let's get to that in a
We'll
bit.
pause on that part.
I'll put this in the footnotes because I
God.
have about a trillion things to say about that.
Yes.
And decides to not just pay for the service, but also do two different
$5.
profiles. Yeah, not
What
bad.
what a steal.
What is that in 1990
Oh,
books?
I don't know. A
A
lot.
thousand? I don't know.
$1,000.
I don't know how money works. I'm just a
Close.
baby. So she makes two different profiles, which we'll also get to, of these like very different people than her, kind of based off of these two girls she knows from school.
Yeah,
And two boys reply back, and from there, hijinks ensue.
I do.
And that's the
They
story.
sure do. So what is our drink with it?
Okay, so this is called the Daniella Fromage Magenta Galaxy.
Nice. Perfect.
There's something that makes it the Magenta Galaxy. There's an added component.
I'm glad you didn't go with the fromage part. Add some cheese in the drink.
Okay, so do you want to take a look at my drink?
Ooh, pretty.
The ingredients are simple, the process was not.
Okay.
Because this contains fresh blueberry syrup, which I did
Oh,
make myself.
oh my.
Because I was like, oh, I have all of these ingredients and I can just
Yeah,
make this syrup. I have like
simple.
blueberry syrup, but
Yeah.
I decided I actually haven't tried it yet, so let me just it's not as good as the work that went into it.
Okay.
Pretty good
Not
though.
worth it. Just store-bought syrup is fine.
If you, yes, exactly. And if you actually know how to do things in the kitchen,
Yeah.
You probably will be successful in this.
Mhm.
I was barely successful. But anyways,
It does look pretty.
thank you. Let me tell you how I made it.
Okay.
In a saucepan over medium heat, this is the syrup part.
Okay.
I put half pound of blueberries. You can do fresh or frozen. And then 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water. And then you cook, stirring frequently for 25 to 30 minutes.
Oh my God. All right.
That's not even the worst part.
Okay.
Let it cool. And then you strain over a sieve into a mason jar. And you're going to want to push down the blueberries to get all that juice out.
Hmm.
That, that.
The workout.
And then you add juice of 1 lime. So that's just the syrup. And you can just buy the syrup. Just buy
Yeah.
the damn syrup. We have come too far in society to
Don't try to be fancy.
make the damn syrup.
You know what? I think that this is a perfect drink for this book because you're trying to be Daniella Fromage in making this. You're trying to be
Yes!
this like
Oh, it's so meta. It's so
yeah,
meta
it
because this
is.
is the Danielle fromage part.
Yep.
Okay, now for the cocktail. In a glass, over ice, you add the blueberry syrup. And then here is the Magenta Galaxy part. It's an optional part. So you can make
Mm.
this either as a mocktail or add the Magenta Galaxy, which is 2 ounces of vodka or gin.
Oh,
That's what makes
yes.
you top with, because she's wild, right? And you get a
She
little
is
wild when you're
wild.
having a little bit of hard liquor.
Little vodka.
Top with soda water and garnish with a couple of blueberries and a lime wheel. So I've done. And
Very
enjoy and think
cute.
of me
Yes.
in Magenta Galaxy.
It is very like purple. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I definitely searched for purple drinks. Like
Hmm.
I had to. Well, like
Yeah.
pinkish purple, but the reason why this is the drink is because Jessica's personas, dating personas, are one Daniela Fromage and Magenta Galaxy. And they come together in one glass to make
One beautiful package.
or something. I don't know. Ashley, I know we've discussed our histories with Sweet Valley High in our last podcast, but do we just
Hmm.
want to quickly touch on what this series is to us or isn't?
Yeah. Um, so to me, it wasn't anything.
Wow.
In my early life, I never really read any of them. I was aware that they existed, but I don't know. I just never read them. But now I have read several, and I think they're great. They're so fun.
That actually makes me happier than
Yes.
anything.
Yeah. They're so fun to read. They're so ridiculous. Just like every story is outrageous. It would never happen in a million years. But I love it.
Oh my
And it's like
God.
this is like 100 pages.
What a what a treat for me to hear that. I want to
Yes.
cry. That makes that damn blueberry syrup so worth
So
it.
worth it.
Because I am the biggest Sweet Valley. No, that's not true. There's so many Sweet Valley fans on the internet still,
The
if you can
biggest one in the
imagine.
universe. In the galaxy, the Magenta Galaxy.
The Magenta Galaxy. So I have been a fan of this series since first grade. Not the
Yeah.
high series, but the franchise.
Mhm.
Because this was the Sweet Valley Kids series was the first book series I ever read.
Aw.
And then as I grew up, I aged into the different eras of the twins' lives and their friends and whatnot. And as you said, they're just so ridiculous. And I think as a kid, I didn't think that they were that ridiculous, even though,
Yeah.
like, what?
Right.
I thought that high school was gonna be this exciting.
Hmm.
I
We
wanted
all
it,
did.
but I also didn't have a twin. I wasn't blonde. I didn't live in California. Like, there's a lot going
Yeah.
against me, you
There's
know.
a lot happening.
But it does have that like fantastical element of like What if I were beautiful and thin and blonde and lived in a nice, warm little town that has everything you could ever want there? It's got multiple movie theaters apparently
Right?
because it's got like the regular movie theater and like art house cinemas and all of
Mhm.
that stuff. And multiple sh French restaurants, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And the one family goes to the most expensive one every week, as you do.
Yep, as you do. Yeah, and it's got like multi-millionaires. It's got multiple families that are millionaires that feud over
Yeah.
football fields. That was a different that was a different book in the series. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so ridiculous and it's like you said, it's just like so much fun and
It
short.
is. Yeah. Just breeze through, have fun.
And Jessica Damn Wakefield is one of my very favorite literary characters of all time.
Yeah,
She's horrible, but damn, does she make it for a good story, you know?
does. It's so fun to watch her like just blame everything that she gets herself into on everyone else.
Everyone else,
It's
so
never her
funny.
fault. It's so ridiculous.
Like, what is your brain?
Right. I wish. Wouldn't that be nice?
She makes Leela like take messages for her.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't answer the phone. She's on the phone, so it's busy all day. And
Hmm.
then when she doesn't get the message that she needed, she's like, "This is all her fault. This is all
Lila.
my best friend's fault."
Lila messed up. How dare you?
Yeah, I always call her. I feel like every time I say her name, I call her something different, like Lila,
Yeah,
Lila.
I
I
don't know
still
if it's
don't really know
Lila
what
or
it is,
Leela. I don't know.
but she's also one of my favorite characters of the series. She's a poor little rich girl, and we love to
Yeah.
see it.
I loved that she was really sad that she didn't go to her for advice on how to be like classy and rich. She's like, "Oh, but you're new money. Suzanne's old money. It's different."
But I think that the place to start with this is at the beginning
Yep.
with that damn dating service for teens, Love Struck Computer Dating.
Yeah. Also, like, how is this computer dating? There's really no computer involved.
The computer matches them up, I think. They like
I
run their
guess.
test results through the computer and it matches them up, I'm pretty sure.
I
Which
guess.
I don't know.
Very odd. And it's disturbing that they specialize in teen dating.
Oh, yeah. Okay, first of all, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure that this was a plot line on Degrassi in like season 5 or 6 as
Was it?
well.
I don't
The
remember.
computer like matches two people up and then they have to go to the dance together. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Anyways.
There's also on How I Met Your Mother. Ted
Oh
goes.
yeah. I feel like it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Dating service for teens.
Very weird.
You don't have to show identification
True.
because Jessica clearly doesn't
Yeah.
because she's got fake names.
Hmm. Two of them. Yeah. Just anybody's signing up. Just throw these people on a date.
I I do want to say that there was a website that was like this in when we were teenagers. Do you remember E-Spin the Bottle?
Not not exactly. I don't know. It sounds kind of familiar, but what is it?
So it was a dating site. It's like MySpace, but like with the sole intention of dating. And there was for adults and for teens. But again, I'm not sure how well what they checked for that.
Actually
I
like
can't
verified who you are or if you are a teenager?
I can't imagine them doing that in the year of like 2005.
No. No. They were just winging it.
And I was on that site. I never met up with anyone, but I
Yeah.
sure like to get on there and flirt with boys.
Yeah.
Whew.
It was a bit like chat roulette, I imagine. My God, was that
Without
something?
video, thank God.
Yeah. Yikes.
sometimes I'll remember that and I'll tell people about that, and they're like, "Excuse me, what? There was a dating site for teenagers?"
Yeah, like at the start of the internet.
I it horrifies me as much as like reading the words "love struck computer dating for teens."
Yeah,
Now it says teens are our specialty, is what it says.
that is so gross.
That's the sign in the window says that.
I don't understand.
But it also like reminded me because Jessica is changing herself, she's disguising herself. She is meeting with these pe dudes in person, but she has lied about who she is and what she does and all this stuff. And it just
Mhm.
really, I don't know, Ashley, ASL.
Oh my God, yeah. And there was not one time I was truthful.
22 female California was always
Right?
mine.
Yep.
And I had double D's, baby.
Oh yeah, of course. Like I we had no supervision.
Yeah, we were getting on those AOL chat rooms.
Uh, just putting it all out there.
It's so funny because I just feel like it's such a time thing of time, like it's in the
Hmm.
past because now
Yeah,
we just tell everyone exactly where we are and what we're doing and who we are and all of
right.
that. We put everything on the internet.
Yeah, you can find out so easily.
And it's so funny that then like our like the adults were so worried.
I know.
There was all of those TV shows like Degrassi. There's a whole
Uh-huh.
Degrassi episode about something. That first Degrassi episode about Emma meeting a guy online that isn't who he says he is.
Yeah.
And like you were so worried about us, but you also just let us.
Yeah, didn't really do anything about it. You know, because they also like nobody, it was also new. Like
Yeah,
nobody really knew what they were doing.
I was just lying on the internet. Still
Yep.
am, to be
Yeah,
fair. Because I don't
always.
even have my last name out there. It's a
Yeah.
guys, it's a fake last name.
What? What?
It is funny because a lot of people do think that's my real last name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just teens are our specialty.
And it's just a store in the mall, you know? You go in the mall, sign up for a dating service.
I'm also so I know that there are other high schools in the area because in the other books that we've read, there's like the Big Mesa one. Is that the one that they had the war with
I don't remember what it was
in the
called.
Romeo and Juliet one? I'm pretty sure. There's like
Yeah.
Big Mesa and there's a couple of other ones. They do have a war with another one because that's during the jungle prom. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my God.
I get really like I get too into the lore sometimes.
There's a lot of it.
There's so much lore, but like what how is she at the Sweet Valley High or the Sweet Valley Mall meeting people she's never met before?
Right. I don't know. Like they must be close. You know, they're not
Yeah.
going like hours away for this thing.
Technically, Sweet Valley is a fictionalized town, by the way.
Yeah.
Even though when I was at the Salt Lake City airport, a guy looked at my Sweet Valley shirt and said, I went to school there. I said, did you? He was very
Um,
drunk, to be fair. But it's supposed to be like a suburb of Los Angeles, but it feels like
yeah.
like a city with like all of the things.
Yeah, it's like a developed city. Like it's
Yeah.
got depth, substance. I don't know what I'm trying to say. There, there are things to do, I guess.
Yeah, it has a lot. It's very developed into like a small metropolitan area, but it's like
Yeah,
not.
right. It gives off like a very small town feel,
Yeah.
but still there's all this stuff. And Jessica's dated every boy at their school, every junior and senior boy.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure they're on their like second round of junior year of high school. So
Yeah, makes
it
sense.
kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
They go around, they do like 4 or 5 rounds of high schools.
Yeah. I really, really loved the part about AJ Morgan. Like, it was her first serious relationship, and she, even though after a few months she realized she couldn't handle a long-term relationship, it was one of the saddest moments in her life when she broke up with him.
Can I tell you what that breakup was about? I'm so happy that
Yes,
you brought this
yes.
up. Reading that made me laugh so hard when I remembered what happened. She
Tell
didn't
me.
just break things off with him. She became bored with him. He went out of town. She decided to start seeing this other guy behind his back, and she lied to him. And he was unwell and decided to kidnap her,
What?
but accidentally kidnapped Elizabeth.
Oh my God.
So that's actually what happened.
Oh my God. They just throw that in there so casually with no mention of any of that.
That's not
All
the first
right.
time that Elizabeth has been kidnapped. That's what you know
And it
that too.
won't be the last.
No, 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 no. Those sisters have a lot of trauma between them.
Yeah. Everyone's dying. Oh my God.
There's evil twins. There's twins of the evil. Tw it's a whole thing.
She was dating an aspiring undertaker.
What
Just like
was
not it's not that weird. I mean, people do that.
it was really out of left field. And
It was.
I need to read that one, I guess, because I don't remember that
Yeah.
happening. But I do like that she was like, I tried to set my brother up because like his girlfriend just died of leukemia and he's all sad and
Right.
shit.
He was
I'm like,
really sad.
that Trisha Martin, that's her name, and she there are multiple doppelgangers that
Mhm.
Steven, their brother, falls in love with of that
Of her.
girl. Yeah, of Trisha Martin.
Okay.
Just like you should know. Oh my gosh, should we get back to the story?
Yeah.
She decides on these two personas. Daniella Fromage, who is intellectual. She likes
Mhm.
poetry, foreign films, French cuisine. She loves traveling,
Opera.
opera. Yeah. I mean, like some of those things I can get behind.
Yeah. I like poetry.
But she's definitely the more serious, cultured one.
Mhm. She's modeled off of Suzanne Hanlon, a real real person. They both are.
A real person.
Just very weird. I mean, a real
Yeah.
person in this in the Sweet Valley universe.
And then Magenta Galaxy. And even Elizabeth was like, where do these names come
Yeah. Like,
from?
what is this?
Who is a wild rocker whose passions were everything new and anything hot.
Yep.
That's how they describe
What else
it.
is there?
She's wild. She says that that Magenta Galaxy would end up in a coffee shop at 4 in the morning eating hamburgers and dancing on the countertop.
Yep.
So,
They can't say that she's drunk
yeah.
because she's 16. So
Yeah, so where the hell did she get? She just was like, these are the names. And I thought, why don't we do something to come up with our own persona names? So
okay.
I have developed a technology.
Oh
Let
my.
me see if I can pull it up.
Does it do matchmaking too?
No. Let me share my screen.
All right.
Okay, so this is gonna be for the our more cultured gal. This is the first time. Do you want to start or do you want me to start with my name?
You go first.
Okay, so first name will be Louisa.
Oh, Louisa.
So I decided instead of French names, they'd be German since we took German, by the way.
Yes, perfect.
And then since her last name is Fromage, types of cheese. So Louisa,
You gotta add these links for people.
oh, for sure. Louisa
Louisa.
Asiago.
Perfect.
All right. Do you want to go next?
Yes. I am, I guess in German, would you say Brigitte?
Brigitte. I
Brigitte.
took names from The Sound of Music.
Oh, beautiful. Brigade cheddar. That is that is amazing. That's the most classy name.
Okay. So Louisa Asiago and Brigitte Cheddar
Yep,
are dating each other, maybe.
pretty much.
Need to find some dudes with some culture, right?
Yes.
To take us
So
out to sh chase Sam. All right. Now, for our wild girl names.
yes.
So this works out because both of our favorite colors are pink. So
Perfect.
I came up with a bunch of shades of pink.
All right. Let's see them.
So my first name is Fuchsia,
Fuchsia
which goes really great with magenta. And then
does.
for last name, space themed,
Oh, that was
Fuchsia
close.
Andromeda.
You almost got to Fuchsia Moon, which is not as
I
fun.
no, Fuchsia Andromeda is good times.
Okay, here's me. Okay, I am Blush Meteor.
And those are our dating persona names.
Beautiful.
And I will put the links to those in the show notes.
Yes. Give it a try. One of the pink names is Piggy.
I was hoping that you would get that one.
Piggy Black Hole. It's not my name, but it's my lifestyle.
So now that we got that out of the
Brigida Cheddar and Blush Meteor. All right.
way. You ready to get wild now?
Yes. And sophisticated.
What the fuck do you think about these gals?
Um, I mean, the oh god, I can't think of their names now that I'm thinking of my names.
Daniella
Um,
Fromage.
Daniella Fromage, thank you.
Not that I'm thinking of me.
Yeah, can't think of anything else. Daniella Fromage, very pretentious. She's always, every day she's going to some little art thing or little orchestra or
I like how she was like, can't go to the movie because I've got the orchestra, then I've got the museum thing.
yeah. Okay, I'm on Wednesday. That was a bold move though, because he easily could have been like, "Oh, can I come with you to these made up
Yeah.
things that don't exist?" What are you gonna do now,
I
Daniela?
like my alone time.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah, Suzanne Hanlon, when she goes over to be taught her ways, like
Yes,
shows her an album full of pictures of her trip to Greece. Is that where she went?
I think so.
Because she says that where she stayed there had a bunch of like olive trees around it, which I thought was like, oh, I want to go there so bad. But
That's nice.
how bad do you feel for her butler?
Oh, terrible. She's swigging down iced tea like there's no tomorrow.
It describes him as like just m miserable looking.
Yeah,
And Jessica's like, is he ever happy? And I'm like, no, because he used to deal with all you bitches.
yeah. And then they're still joking about it. She's like, "No, you kind of want a good day."
Oh my God. I was like, stop that. He's no Martin, that's for sure.
Ugh, no one is.
But I bet his name's Mason. I bet Mason is definitely gonna like murder that entire family one day.
Pretty much. Yeah. Oof.
I think that Magenta Galaxy definitely sounds like a much cooler hang and
I think
much
so.
easier to impersonate someone who is just kind of wild because that's like
Yeah,
unpredictable.
right. It's just like chaotic.
Which, to be fair, Jessica is chaotic.
Yeah, like that pretty much is her. It's just not
Yeah,
her specific hobbies.
she's just not a hipster, which is what not necessarily Magenta Galaxy is, but definitely the boy that she ends up dating.
Yeah. Or is he? Whoa.
Well, yeah, should we talk about those boys
Yes. Pierre Dulac.
who was born in France?
Hmm.
has traveled extensively on the continent and in Europe. Also, I've never heard anyone call it the continent except in historical romance novels, I feel like.
Yeah, which is probably where he got it from,
Yeah.
you know? But see, when I first read that before they started talking about it, I thought they were talking about the continent of North America and Europe.
No, that's what they would call the continent in the olden days, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
At least that's what I know from, as I said, reading historical
Yeah.
romance.
And that is how they made it out to be because
Yes.
they were like, oh, that's the same thing. But I thought maybe he just liked to go on little road trips through the US, after being in France so long. But that's too lowbrow
Yeah.
for Pierre.
He plans to be either a novelist or a museum curator. And also like, oh, and his favorite foods are truffles and foie gras. Um, it also just really clues you in to some things here because you're like, these just sound like you're tossing out things that you think that a fancy person
Yes.
likes.
Like they're not real.
No, and then when they go on their date to Shay Sam, and by the way, Jessica has studied for both of these parts more than she's ever studied for school before. She's
Yeah.
ever cared about anything before. She like
Yeah.
does research, she studies French, I mean she does all this stuff.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't know if I've
Okay.
said this before. I probably have. But Jessica just has ADHD. Like that's just what it is. Like she goes from thing to thing. She's so like hyper focused on these one things that she is interested at the moment. And then once it's done, she's like, don't care about this. Never gonna look at
Yeah,
it ever again. You know?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you'll notice that there's a quick throwaway line of Elizabeth playing the recorder.
Yeah.
Did we discuss this before? I
I don't
swear to
know,
God,
but
we've
I
discussed
did
this.
note that. I was like, why
This
is she
is so
practicing the
stupid.
recorder?
Because for some reason, Jessica had picked it up for like a weekend and
Okay.
then dropped it immediately. And then she was like, "Oh, is she really good at this?" And I was like, "Yeah, a second grader is
Like
good at recorder. What do you
Elizabeth,
mean?"
come on.
Sorry. Sorry if you play recorder professionally, but like every single child played recorder.
Yes. That's really funny. I don't remember that being a thing, but she's like actually like practicing it. Is that even like a thing you can I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like we are totally pigeonholing an entire segment of the population that will never want to listen to our
Recorder
podcast.
players.
That was like a top listener. There was three people in the
Yeah.
US.
That's why they were listening, is because we mentioned it for 1 second, one time.
And then they were like canceled. These guys are
Yeah,
canceled.
done.
What do you have to say about this loser? About this loser Pierre?
Hold up. Yeah, I don't have much else about him. He's just, as we learn later, it's not his real
Spoilers.
persona. Anyway, yeah, spoilers.
Yeah, so let's get to the second BF.
Hmm.
Let's go bachelor number two, Brett S.
Brett S. No, no full last name.
Elizabeth says just S. That's a pretty weird last name, but so is Galaxy, so I guess you're a perfect match. She had some
But
zingers.
she did. But also that just like with the dating service, they're just gonna take someone just S, Brett
Yeah.
S. Yeah, that's good enough. Sign him up. Match him up with this 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Don't know.
No
Mm-mm.
identification.
Nope.
Tell us a little bit about Brett S.
Brett S. He's a spontaneous rocker who loves to go to concerts and talk about the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. Well, see this, like I wouldn't even be suspicious because he was talking about them without knowing anything about them, and that's just how guys are. That would have just been like a normal normal date with the 16-year-old boy,
Elizabeth should have been like, name five songs.
right? Yeah. Like Sympathy for the Devil is actually the Rolling Stones.
What is Ringo's middle name?
Yeah. Who is the Beatles' original drummer?
Yeah. You know what?
Dickhead.
Good freaking point. Good fucking point. Because when Elizabeth gets like mad later on, she's like, "You're a fake. Like you're just a fake."
Yeah,
Not that like, "Oh, you think that you know better than It's like it's such a different thing. That dynamic of when
yeah.
a dude does not believe that a woman can like anything that they perceive as masculine.
Hmm.
And she's so much more patient with him. And she
Right.
even is like, I can't do this anymore. And that's
Yeah,
Elizabeth. She's supposed to be kind and patient. She's not, but she's
yeah.
supposed to be.
Supposed to be. I mean, she did pretty good.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know that much about these things. And she's like, they don't even know as much as I do.
Yeah. And
Like, who are you?
she's pretty much like, I'm a loser. I spend this entire book talking about how boring I am,
Yeah.
how much I want to be exciting.
Hmm.
And even I know that.
Even I know that Paris isn't in the Riviera. God, I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I don't know anything. I would be Jessica. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah, that sounds good. I do think it is so funny that like I said, she actually like studies and like makes an effort to know these things, and these
mhm.
boys do the bare ass minimum.
Nothing. They do nothing.
Yeah, what is that?
Brett doesn't even hide his real cassette collection. It's
Oh
just in like
yeah.
the floor of his car where she can see it. Come on, put it in the trunk. He's like, what do you think of the blues hogs? When it's like it's the blue hogs, which doesn't I mean he doesn't know anyway. He's like the blues hogs, they're too derivative.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has the gall to act like a douchebag hipster about it as
Mhm.
well. That's like
Yeah,
the worst part about him.
yeah,
I don't know. Pierre kind of outwardly tries to act like he knows what he's talking about, and then Brett takes on a different approach where he's like, I'm so aloof. And he's like, I don't dance because you can't enjoy the music at concerts. I'm like,
yeah.
wait, do you know what music is? Have you ever heard of music?
But it is funny because it's like based on their different personalities. It's like Pierre doesn't really say anything, but he's seen as like quiet and mysterious.
Hmm.
And then Brett doesn't say anything and he's seen as like aloof and cool.
So I'm just kind of trying to imagine these dates because Jessica also has very limited things to say. So
Yeah.
like, what were you guys talking about the entire time?
They
Because we
weren't
don't
talking about
get
anything.
much.
That's why they went to a movie and a concert because you don't have to talk.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I loved when they're at the concert and he says something about like you can't dance or whatever. And Jessica's like, I know what you mean. She shouted back as casually as it is possible to shout.
She had some really funny lines too. When she
Mhm.
comes back from her date with Pierre, she's like, Elizabeth is like, "Oh, how'd it go?" Whatever, and she's just kind of trying to act, cool and calm about it.
Yeah.
Probably because she didn't, nothing really happened on the
Right.
date. But she says, well, I'm going to bed. You uncultured types can only dream of the kind of happiness I found tonight.
Elizabeth's like, give me some details, but there's no details to give.
Wait, no. She should have told her the details of what she was thinking when she was wondering how Pierre was gonna kiss her.
Yeah.
That cracked me up.
Double cheek or hand
Or both.
or both.
It would be so European.
It would.
So while Jessica is kind of trying on all these new clothes and these new styles and doing all this stuff, like putting a blue streak in her hair, Elizabeth is having a real identity crisis.
She is.
Which, like, to be fair, she is much more boring than Jessica is. Like,
Hmm.
everybody knows that.
Yeah, she's kind of just like she's got a routine. She sticks to
Hmm.
it. She knows what she likes until it's questioned. Then she's like, "Oh my God, do I even have an identity?"
It's like, no, not really.
Yeah, no.
Jessica's is just kind of like being like, blah.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is like, I help people, but I'm really condescending about it. And, oh, I write. but I'm also condescending about that. She's condescending. That's her
Yeah,
personality type.
that's it. She likes to be right.
She has a journal, of course, because she's a writer. And
Oh my God.
she
So good.
she's like, I'm so boring and I don't want to be anymore. So she writes in her journal in capital letters,
Yep.
dare to be different.
Yep.
Just that.
So
Like
funny.
very much a home goods live, laugh, love girly, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. She wants to be different, but she doesn't know how.
The way that she tries to be different is painting her toenails red.
Yeah. Getting a 2 week perm.
And Leela's like, yeah, that's great. When she sees her at the mall.
Right before the Valentine's dance, though. That is kind of daring.
You know, that I will say that's probably the only thing I really relate to Elizabeth on is having a crisis and fucking your hair up
Yeah,
because of it.
right.
This happened to me recently.
Yeah. I didn't even have a crisis, and I just like cut my hair myself for no reason. Like I could have just gone to get my hair done. I didn't.
I don't know, that feels kind of like a crisis in itself.
Yeah, true.
I like once every couple years, I'm like, I need bangs because just the world feels like it's falling apart and everything will be fine if I have bangs. And then I cut them and I'm like,
Nope.
why?
I know this is worse.
And then I have had bangs and the world is falling apart. So
Yeah. Well, you got something else to focus on then.
I really connected with her. I really wish I would have seen her perm regrets a little bit more, actually.
It was a little too, I thought it was going to be more of an issue with
Hmm.
when they decided to both go on the dates and switch off every 15 minutes, which is wild. Every 15 minutes. But she's like, oh, now I have to curl my hair. It's like, I thought it was going to be a much bigger deal.
It's so funny because she's like, I have to turn my perfectly wavy hair. Now it has curl.
Yeah.
It's like it can't be too, anything. She's got
Mhm.
perfectly wavy hair, and it only looks a little bit worse when it's got a bad permit
Yeah,
because these twins are perfect
they are.
in every single way.
Hmm.
Can we talk about that European movie,
Yeah.
please?
I I want to watch it. It sounded good.
I seriously feel like I watched that movie in one of my film classes.
Yeah.
It
Is it a
felt
real
like
movie?
that.
I don't
I
remember what it
don't,
was
I
called.
didn't
I
look it
doubt it.
up.
I feel like it was a movie.
But to be fair, it's really easy to talk about these elements of a movie, like an artistic film like that,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, it sounds like every other artistic film that's trying to be
Right.
really deep.
Yes.
Because I remember sitting in that class where I was watching this, and I don't even remember what happened in it, but being like, my brain feels like it's melting right now. This is absurd.
That makes it great.
You should start watching foreign films like that.
I should. Dissecting them.
Since you wanted to watch more movies this year.
True.
She says part of the movie is that every once in a while a little red ball would roll across whatever room the characters were in. Jessica didn't have the slightest idea what it was supposed to symbolize, but she knew she had to have an opinion by the time the film was over.
Yeah. Later on, she's telling Elizabeth about it. And there's also a Ferris wheel, apparently. She talks about this. She's like, I don't know what the Ferris wheel symbolizes. And she's like, I don't know, pizza, the man in the moon, something round. And Jessica's like, oh, I get it.
I really liked that. I think that our girl was starting to learn some things about,
Yeah.
the world and herself.
Mhm.
And Elizabeth was like, these men are stupid.
Here's what I gather from the movie. They
Okay.
were working in the waiting room at the doctor's office. And then they started to like tell their life story when they got called up. It was like the waiting room for hell, right?
There you go.
That's where they were going.
Symbolism. She's a film girly. She knows
Yeah.
cinema.
Hmm. Film noir.
I feel like
Our specialty.
you're shouting at this stupid book.
I know.
It's the waiting room for
Elizabeth,
hell.
come on, it's so easy. I'm not Elizabeth, Jessica.
But speaking of not knowing who's who,
What? Name drop.
The reason why I chose this book is because there's a twin switch in it, like there's a twin switch in The Parent Trap. It just inspired me, you know?
It is, it's a good one.
I will say that Elizabeth would not have lasted a damn day at that vineyard
No,
with
absolutely
Meredith
not.
Blake.
No. I'm like, you are a bitch. And she would have been right.
Jessica might be Meredith Blake when she's older.
Yeah, I could see that, but not as put together.
No, 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 no. She would could never bag a rich man like that. I feel
Mm,
like
no.
she's much too chaotic.
Yeah.
As you were saying, they come up with this super convoluted plan because Leela gets a message from one of the boys saying that he has tickets to something. If she doesn't call him back, he's just gonna stop by and pick her up, which,
Yep.
what?
Which, no, please call me first.
She already has a date with the other guy.
Yep.
And to solve this problem that Jessica blames entirely on her friend and
Yep.
not herself, she decides to rope Elizabeth into switching or into being one of these girls because she had promised her she would buy half of the dress that Elizabeth wanted for the Valentine's Day dance. It's a
Mm,
whole thing. But for some reason, she decides that they should switch off every 15 minutes.
that's way too much.
So because Jessica has been putting this temporary blue streak in her hair, they have to wear berets and tuck the hair under the beret. And then
Yes.
they wear like a simple outfit and then just trade accessories.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty clever.
This scene at the restaurant, so they decided to go to this restaurant where I guess there's two different rooms, so they can easily do this.
Yeah.
You know what 90s movie this is very reminiscent of? Where there's a little bit of a switcheroo?
Freaky Friday?
No.
That's not 90s. That's early 2000s.
There is a Freaky Friday that came out in 1995 that I love, my favorite version, but no.
Which?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, yeah. Yep. He has to keep going back to the bathroom and changing.
Little more complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. Got a whole face
Yeah.
issue happening.
Has like a whole mask.
I know.
But as this is happening, Elizabeth is like switching off between the two and is discovering that these boys ain't shit.
Hmm.
And and Jessica the entire time is like, I just gotta pick one, I guess, because like I just want a boyfriend.
Right. Like the end of the night, just whoever I had more fun with, that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Dump the other one.
And the entire time Brett S is like, you go to the bathroom again?
I know. She's like, it's kind of personal, okay?
I gotta take a dump, okay?
Right. Are you okay?
I would be way too embarrassed to do that.
Right? I
But she
know.
was like, yeah, I poop.
Yeah, deal with
Okay?
it.
I'm wild.
Everybody poops.
I'm Magenta Galaxy, bitch.
Yeah. And then Elizabeth is like trying to come up with an excuse and she's like, I have to go, and then just like doesn't care.
Because she's had enough. She actually
Yeah.
has a spine in this book because
Yeah.
she ends up just leaving the restaurant because
Hmm.
she's just like, because it was with Pierre that she was like, he's fake, he's a phony, he
Yeah.
doesn't know anything.
He's not from France.
And when he leaves, Jessica's like, well, I guess I still had Brett.
Yeah.
Well, at least there's one guy left over.
And then she blames that on Elizabeth too.
Oh my gosh, she's
Like
so
you making this
terrible.
both of them. Jessica, you did that. You did that yourself.
And then she doesn't end up with either of them.
Hmm.
Because, first of all, the next day she decides to go play tennis with her friend. There's a boy there who, it's really funny though, because she goes to get a drink of water when she sees this guy, and
Yeah.
Kara is like, you're thirsty. And I was like, oh.
Dang.
And she's like, maybe I am.
Kara's ahead of the times.
Hmm. And she meets this guy, Tony Mangino, which
Yep.
who's not French.
Mm-mm. Not.
But he actually, we'll never see him again, by the way. But he actually seems like a good match for her.
Yeah, it seemed like right up her alley.
Yeah, 'cause he was like, "You're really good," and she was like, "For a
Hmm.
girl," and he's like, "No, you're
For
good."
anyone.
He's like, "Let's play basketball next," like
Yeah.
that. And she decides that she's kind of over this whole thing because it's way too much work, and she
Yeah.
found a new dude. So I guess the lesson is that to like be yourself or something. I don't know. We don't really know the lesson.
Yeah. And especially because at the end it says that up next is what is it, the new Elizabeth or
The new
whatever.
Elizabeth, yes.
She didn't learn anything from this. She still needs to change herself.
Yeah, she just learns like she learns it's a lot of work to be someone else. Not like, hey, I probably should just stay true to myself because it's a good thing to be yourself. She's like, no,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work and
Yeah.
I'm over it. And to the point where she sees both Dana Larson and Suzanne Hanlon, who she's borrowed clothes from.
Yeah.
She's like, I have to go home, and I guess like I don't know, wait for a call from my sick grandma. Yeah, that sounds good. So I can't drop your clothes off, so you have to come get them. And
Yeah.
she tells the same thing to both of them. So lo and behold, Elizabeth had called both boys to come over so that Jessica, I guess, could tell them the truth and pick one.
Yeah, that part was not like explained really at all, and it didn't make any sense.
She says she does it to make it up to Jessica, and I'm like, I don't think
Like,
that
how is
inviting t
that?
two
No.
different boys who she's been two-timing, by the way, and
Right.
lying to. What,
Yeah.
what is that?
Not a good plan, Elizabeth.
But of course, the Suzanne and Dana also show up at the same time. Oh, rewind. Sorry. So the boys show up and they're both like, "Yeah, we're fake."
To be fair, which one was it? Was it Brett that was like trying to tell her the whole time during the date?
Yeah, I think so. And she had seen him in the line at the art cinema.
Yeah, because that's who he actually is. But he kept being like, I really have to talk to you, and then she'd be like, oh, gotta go to the bathroom.
So they reveal it and Jessica's like, "How dare they?"
Yeah,
And he lied to me about his name. His name's Pete, not Pierre.
yeah. Peter Lake.
Elizabeth is like, babe, what do you
We
see
what he
any
did.
do you draw any comparisons
Yeah.
between what you guys did?
It's like, no, totally different.
And then she's like, "Oh yeah, haha, that's so funny. Well, I better tell them to leave because I have a
Yeah,
date to the dance." So,
right.
and then Dana and Suzanne show up and they both hit it off with the boys, and I guess they all live happily ever after.
Yeah,
And Elizabeth ends the book being just as boring as she was when she started.
not for long.
But not for long because she's
Not
gonna
for
take up
long.
surfing.
Is that what it is? Did we read that one? That sounds familiar. Okay.
No, no, we didn't. What
No?
happened was that Jessica took up surfing
Oh, okay. All right.
in the Romeo and Juliet one.
Okay.
I don't know. This is just like a fun, stupid book,
It is.
honestly.
It's so just completely unrealistic. None of
Yeah,
it could ever happen in real life. And it's so fun. I loved
yeah,
it. Loved every
yeah.
minute of it.
Oh, my heart. I think it's so funny because I made you read the the new Jessica. Is that what it's called?
I think it was. That's why it sounds familiar.
There's a
Same.
new Jessica and a new Elizabeth. And that one that's actually my ultimate favorite one because Jessica starts going by Jessa Fields. She's really good at these different names. She's good at
Yeah,
rebranding herself. She has eras, you know? That's what she
it does.
has.
Yeah.
And in that she decides to also be like cultured and like European. She wants to be European.
I think, we all just thought that it would be so sophisticated and classy to be European. And it probably would be much better than being American, I'm sure.
Except when I went to Germany as a teenager, I drank vodka Red Bulls and stayed
Oh,
out all night.
yeah.
And
Still better than being here
yeah,
right now in 2025. Okay.
yes, that is correct.
Oof.
It's just Magenta Galaxy. I mean, you can't do better than
No,
that. Except for maybe Daniella Fromage.
it is good.
You know that Jessica was like, okay, well, I heard like one word in French class, and I just remember it was fromage. I don't know what it means.
Yeah. It's a Dexter's Laboratory. What was this? Or something about fromage. I don't remember. That was the only French word that came up in pop culture for kids in the 90s.
Yeah, that is true. Is
Yeah.
Look, I feel like cheese is such like a funny, just stupid kids thing. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
cheese. And so it's
Cheese.
like, oh, French cheese.
Right.
So the ghostwriters of these books, they have like an outline of kind of what the points they have to hit so that they can get from point A to point B, but they
Yeah.
have more leeway when writing like the dialogue and just like the filler parts. And I just
Yeah.
like I bet this book was so much fun to write.
I bet it was.
She's like, how can we get around her having a streak of blue hair? Beret.
Ray, obviously. Okay.
Uh, what do you have anything? Do you have anything else?
Let me check my. I didn't take many notes, but I had a few.
No, I didn't either. I just kind of wrote down my favorite quotes because there were
Yeah.
so many funny ones.
Jessica says that girl talking about Suzanne should take the hangers out of her shirts before she wears them. She's so stuck up, it's not funny. That's a good one.
I love how she's like, I want to be like her, but also fuck her.
Mhm. I'll just there's a pretty insensitive mental health comment. A different time. I guess we'll put that. I do wonder, I don't know if it's just because like obviously I know a lot about different disorders, but is it like completely it used to be that the common like conception, is that even the right word? Perception of schizophrenia was like split identity, split personalities.
Hmm.
And that's absolutely not true at all. Like that's not even what it is in any context,
No.
like in any way. So has that changed?
Yeah, actually, yes. Okay, two things because I feel like, well, first of all, split personality disorder, very questionable. That it,
Yeah, it's
very
like
questionable.
dissociative identity disorder, like it is a thing, but the way that it's portrayed is
Yeah.
completely incorrect.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Um, Second of all, I feel like when people are talking about those like hot and colds now, instead of being like, oh, there's like it's like you have schizophrenia, they say it's like you are like bipolar or have
mm,
BPD or something like that. So
yeah,
I know that's not what really what you're asking, but I do find it
yeah,
interesting like the different ways that we're terrible and
yeah.
and
It's
insensitive when
evolved.
talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, like that. I feel like I used to think that,
Yeah.
until I learned what it actually is.
Yeah.
But why is that? Why was that we thought schizophrenia was split personality? I don't know.
Because we just didn't know anything about anything.
I guess.
And you know what? It's because of media, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like the only time where people came into contact with this was when they saw a portrayal of it on on
Yeah,
something,
like a
on a movie, book,
completely
whatever.
dramatized, you know,
And it was bad.
sensationalized version of it. Yeah.
Which is why representation matters.
Yes, absolutely.
And I would say that representation matters when it comes to terrible teenage girls in books.
Yep.
Jessica Wakefield. Honestly,
Yeah.
there's such a difference in the way that like women are portrayed by men and the way that women are portrayed by women, where
Mhm.
a character, like a female character that is chaotic through a male lens, it's like
Yeah.
she's a bitch, she's crazy, she's all of these words that I don't like. And then through
Yeah.
this lens, it's like, well, she's pretty terrible, but like I see her, you know?
Yeah. Right. It's like you get why. You see the backstory.
And like she's just so interesting because she's so blatantly awful.
Hmm.
It's like the first archetype of that of as a for teenage girls, and then later on, the Regina Georges will follow.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really like you get that character that is just kind of terrible, but like you also kind of love her.
Hmm.
And it's interesting in a way that I feel like a lot of these characters are just not, because Elizabeth is not interesting at all. There's nothing interesting
Yeah.
about her, I feel like.
Yeah. She wants to date Lord Byron. That's kind of interesting.
He was boring too, even as a werewolf or whatever happened in
Yeah.
that book.
Right.
Yes, there are werewolves in this series, okay? Vampires,
Get used to it.
um, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Ghosts, there's ghosts.
Oh.
Witches, I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
Yeah, it's expansive.
It's got depth.
It has depth, just like our girl,
It contains
Jessica Wakefield.
multitudes.
I love her so much.
Yeah.
She's just like one of my favorite characters ever.
Yeah. She was great.
All right. We did it. We did another. By the time this is done, I'm gonna have you read this entire series.
Yes. Let's do it. I'm ready.
It makes me so happy that you loved this.
Yes.
Every time I make you read something new that is so beloved to me, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is the one
She's
she's gonna
gonna hate
fucking
it.
hate. It's gonna destroy my life.
Yeah. Our friendship is gonna be over.
Oh my
She'll be
God,
like,
no.
how the fuck are you reading this?
I'm just gonna like cry. It's just gonna be a
Yeah.
podcast of me crying.
Yeah. And me just yelling
To be fair, I only have shown you the best of
at
these books. Like there are bad ones.
Let's do one of those. I want to see it.
Okay, I might have to find one.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Let's
Yeah. Get out of here. We'll hit up Jay Sam.
let's go join a dating service for teenagers. The
Yes. Oh my
mall.
God. No.
You know all those dating services for teens that pop up at the mall?
Hmm. Yeah, I just saw him the other day.
You know what I miss so much about the past?
What?
It's those mall teenage dating services.
Mm.
There's
They
nothing like
just don't.
that.
They don't make them like they used to.
All right, you can follow us on Instagram at Nostalgic Nightcaps
Yep.
and rate and review on whatever platform you are currently listening. And throw us a comment or a review that answers the question of Ashley.
Um, why don't they make them like they used to? Because I
Yeah.
just thought about this. I just told you my air straight, not my air straight, air wrap
Mm-hmm.
broke.
Mm-hmm.
I bought my hair straightener that I currently use when I was 16 at a mall kiosk, and it still works. That's almost 20 years ago. So they really don't make them like they used to. Yeah. I'm 100 years old.
Too bad Jessica could not find a boy at that mall dating service that also lasted. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.